A very good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
And this is Sven.
And this is Coaster Kings Radio that you are listening to, Season 3. And the newest episode we've got coming up today is our Hot or Not episode. Slightly inspired by Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. They did one, and I figured we can kind of do our own version that had a couple toppings around the world that they didn't include that I thought were missing. But thanks for the inspiration, guys, at Coaster Radio. Before we do that, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about our recent coverage that we have, which includes a new Spanish history theme park series by our team member, Andre. Hola. That is really great because it is very detailed. I learned a lot of things I didn't even know about. There's actually quite a history in Spain when it comes to theme parks and coasters. So that's something we've got going on. We also have a Ejanica X2 Dynaconda comparison article live on thecoasterkings.com that discusses the difference between the three major 4D Aero SNS coasters. They may look quite similar from far away, but they are actually really different each. So we did a little closer look at that. And last but not least, we also have a new Disney Worldwide Rides Top 20 list.
We teased it in another podcast,
which
but
we already
it was not
teased,
ready.
but it was actually delayed. But now it's live by the time you're listening to this.
Yes.
Which is going over 20 of the best Disney attractions worldwide.
We looked at every Disney ride.
You may be
every
surprised
Disney
by our
park.
rankings. I feel like we had some sort of like reasonable juice that we drank because we were a lot more reasonable than usual.
We were, I think.
Like you'll be quite
reasonable
surprised by
juice.
the way we ranked.
What
things
you're
this time
saying is
around.
that I was less neurotic than normal.
Yeah, well, we made the ranking together, but yeah. But that's all on thecoasterkings.com. Here today, we're going to discuss 60 different theme park / roller coaster topics. We asked all of our Instagram listeners whether these topics were hot or not. And apparently everything is super hot.
Yeah.
Because everything came out as hot.
50-50 was not enough. But
So-
then when you think about it, like,
Yeah, we kind of applied a star system.
rating.
So, like, you wouldn't go to a restaurant, I mean, I hope not, that has, like, a below 4-star rating.
okay, we're not that much of snobs.
Wow.
If it's 2 stars,
I'm trying to make this
If it's
relatable.
a 2-star restaurant, then like, yeah, maybe not.
Okay, my point being is that, like, for something to be hot, like a hot ticket,
Like hot.
attraction,
Like lots of people,
hot as heck.
Hot.
more than 50%. That's
Like
not enough.
hot.
50%
Is it
is
hot
enough.
or
it needs
not?
to be, yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
needs to be at least a 4-star.
Yeah.
For something to be hot. And
Yeah,
so we
and
figured that
80%.
80 percentile will be a
Is
good
the
cutoff point.
Yeah,
And so even though some things
some things were really close.
were really close,
50, almost.
They may be a not.
About 50% of the topics that we surveyed were below 80%. So we were like, okay, this is actually a good way.
yeah, because everything was really
a good
exciting, apparently.
Point of but y'all are coaster enthusiasts.
I was
Like, this
expecting
is
everyone to be
great.
more critical, but this is cool.
I
This is
do
cool.
expect everyone to be passionate and be just like, yes, I love all of the things, like all of the manufacturers and all of the parks.
Well,
and,
honestly, it makes me sad because everything I thought was super hot turned out to be like an official Instagram not.
Because
Not
we're
even by
weird.
our score.
Are you surprised?
that's our brand.
I'm hurt. That's what I am.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, some of them will be very not as well because
Yeah, there'll be a
they
couple
ended up
super
below
nots.
the 50. So
There's some that are
will be.
yeah, we're gonna. I'm excited to talk about
There's
like,
some organic knots
the
and some
actual
like
star,
readjusted
like the
knots.
actual star ratings for some of these.
And then we'll go in and give our own hot or not.
Yeah.
And we're going to
And
do
then
it
we'll
in a decent rapid
analyze.
pace. So we'll start with some manufacturers, and then we'll go over some of like the systems in place, like FastPass and stuff.
Events,
And then we'll
lockers.
kind of look at different kinds of attractions and ride types. And then we'll jump over to different park chains, which was actually really some of the most interesting responses in my opinion. And then
Yeah, some
we'll
of those
finish
were
off
wild.
with the 2021 or
the new-
2022,
yeah,
depending
yeah.
on which park chain, new additions.
roller
and whether they're
coaster
hot or not.
projects in progress, and whether or not they read as hot or not.
Yeah, so let's dive in. We'll start with B&M, everyone's fave.
Classic.
Very hot.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Hot. 92.6% hot.
Agree
Oh,
that it's
wow.
hot. So we're looking. This is a 4.5
And we had
star.
over 1,000 voters on each of them. So
Yeah.
these responses are all of y'all who
Yeah.
voted. Thank you so much. I think
Thank
B&M's
you.
hot.
Yeah,
Come again.
I would say for the most part they are very hot. I think that's a safe because I guess whether you like certain types of B&Ms more than others, there's something for everyone.
Well, yeah, reliability is hot. Throughput is hot.
Yeah,
Wing coasters are
And-
hot.
yeah.
Yeah, like there are some that may disappoint, but you're it's a good thing to say that out of the 10 B&M coasters that you're going to ride are going to be very enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's actually a good way of putting it. 8 out of 10 B&Ms are definitely world class. Love that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's a couple.
Next up surprised me a little bit. Vekoma was deemed hot, over 80%. In fact, it had 84.9%.
Wow.
Thank you guys for indulging my Dutchness.
I think people are
Obviously
on the Vekoma train because they see things like Tron and Hals Uberkampf and Fly being built.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure
there is
all their new models.
envy.
I want one.
Yeah. Like, I think the Vekoma next-gen inverts and the Vekoma next-gen flyers are probably a hotter ticket than the B&Ms right now of their respective classes.
They're definitely selling more.
B&M
because
has
they're
got
new.
competition.
Yeah, certainly. Next up, Intamin, deemed hot, 94.1%, very high.
That was
very
like
high.
one of the highest.
I burned my fingers when I was.
That was one of
diving
the
into
highest
results.
overall approval ratings.
But is it a surprise, though?
No.
I mean they've always pushed the limit. Every single time they come out with a new product or a new project, it's always hot. They always do the most, and I think there's really not any sort of argument against that, which is why it's such a high number.
Well, I think the
Go ahead,
5.9% that voted against maybe can not like them because of their reliability sometimes.
Yeah.
of
Sure.
the rides.
Yeah, we've got some
or their
pragmatists.
intensity could
Yeah.
definitely be involved because generally
True.
speaking, they're quite intense.
Or sometimes, like the older B&Ms, the older Intamins in their trains and
the
their
Intamin
restraint
rattle
systems,
is serious too.
Like,
Yeah.
not every Intamins are more
Aging.
accommodating now than they've ever been. But
But I mean, so are
Intamins
all Vekomas. I
20
think people
years
are looking
ago,
at the current industry and saying,
Yeah.
like, well, this is a major
Yeah.
player. They do a good job.
Like, I'm convinced that
And a big
honestly,
Surprisingly,
the Intamin rolling stock is like the best in the game.
oh, yeah.
So,
As it even won a Crystal Crown Award that we awarded in 2019.
Yeah.
Sorry, in 20.
Velocicoaster.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Gerslauer, surprisingly, is a not. Instagram
surprised.
deemed.
Gerslauer.
Because I think.
Well, in America, yeah,
They're
Gerslauer
not.
is like 3.5 stars.
I mean, if we're going to talk about
That's
8
what
out
we
of 10
got.
is good, definitely not 8 out of 10 of I've written are good.
Gerslauers are just better in Europe. So I think it would be a hot if you lived in Germany and you only
Yeah, I'm not sure
rode
what's up with the fulfillment down here, but they're just rough.
in parks there. But
American
in Europe,
Dream
they're
is
not
not
as
good.
consistent.
Next up is.
Well, yeah, maybe
Sorry.
for me, Gerslauer is still hot. Because, there are those that are really good, I rank very highly. But
Yeah, like Kernan, right?
when you go down, there's a big gap. Because then,
Yeah.
like Falcon at Duinrel is a good example of, well, no.
Oh, you didn't like
I
that
didn't
one?
even mind that one.
I
That's
thought
pretty
that
good
one was
compared to
fine.
the US
Yeah,
ones.
by U.S. standards, Falcon is fine. There's Gerslauer's way worse than Falcon in the U.S. with the same layout and everything.
But one thing that's not worse is Mac Rides, deemed hot by our Instagram people. I think they're hot.
86.7%.
Yeah.
I think, for the most, I feel like they've kind of got a little bit of the Intamin, like enigmatic,
I would like to see them push a little
and
more.
then a little bit more of the reliability.
Like, I
Well,
think.
They are pushing a bit more with the new ride they're building.
Yeah,
in,
so with the Extreme
Asia.
Spinner, I will say
Yeah.
that's the furthest they've pushed the envelope in a minute. And I think that the new coaster that's being built in Sucho, which we'll discuss
Yeah,
in
that's the one I
later,
meant,
it's the first time they're really going to be pushing
And then there's
size
like
and speed.
DC rivals,
Although
which everyone
Flash
is like, that's the most
at,
intense thing ever. Liwa
in
Village.
Turkey,
Liwa.
is also one
no,
that is
yeah.
often
that's the other one,
forgotten
yeah.
and apparently is very good.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I'd say, generally speaking, they're hot.
is
I
it
mean,
Flash there?
yeah, they've
I
got
love how
good-
reliable they are. Like, they've built their brand on being more innovative than B&M and more reliable than Intamin.
And they've got a couple of fun coasters out there. Like I think Cobra Curse is really cool, and we always ride it.
And Journey to Atlantis
And
still
Journey to
slaps.
Atlantis is awesome.
Yeah.
Though their water coasters are good. And
Yeah.
of course, I think Manta and SeaWorld San Diego is one of the most underrated family coasters.
Mm-hmm.
Solid ride. Next up, we have GCI, Great Coasters International Wooden Coasters, deemed hot by our Instagram
Mm-hmm.
audience, 85.4%. Yeah, Sven, you can start if you want.
Well, it's my favorite woody coaster construction company.
Yeah, same actually.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd have
a
to
complete
agree.
GCI guy. So.
I didn't always feel that way, they were very hyped up in the 90s and 2000s, and I wasn't quite on the train.
For a minute, I was wondering if all their designs are always kind of run together, which I feel RMC sometimes do.
Yeah.
But in fact, every time I ride one of their new Woodies, they're all different.
They're building the best coasters that they've ever built. They've only improved their design. They've only improved the comfort of their trains.
Mm-hmm.
They've only improved, and now.
And I hope they get the chance to build like the new generation ones that go upside down to
the looping
compete with
ones
RMC, because they're having a bit of a monopoly in that segment.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And next up is Premier Rides, deemed not by Instagram, 73.4%.
And then there's
still a
Premier.
decent score, though.
It's still a decent score.
Yeah.
This is, again, the 4-star thing.
And I think can be chalked up to like Skyrocket 2 fatigue, frustrations with comfort collars.
Which I must say, I don't necessarily like the Premier Skyrocket trains, but I do like the Skyrockets in general. I guess like the layouts are fun, and we actually ride Tigers quite a bit nowadays.
The trains are on the Skyrockets are like tolerable at best.
Yeah,
at least they're fairly comfortable when you're riding.
As long as you get the right row. If you're in like the back of a car,
out of them sucks, especially with the comfort collar.
And on top of that, that's the only model we have here in Europe. So that's the only thing that we as Europeans can reference to.
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
guys have Hype and Sky Screamer.
Yeah.
There used to be one at Lynn and Marquis, the water coaster.
Oh yeah, I wrote that
right.
one. The liquid coaster. That
the
was
liquid
a weird
coaster.
One.
Sorry,
fun name.
Yeah,
but
the Mr. Freeze coasters are still everyone's favorite too.
Yeah, I think like old Premier, and I like the Mummies.
It's hard to, and the Mummies are good too. It's hard to say that. Like, I don't think Premier is building the best coasters of their career right now because they built them in 1997.
I think they had a career change. I mean, obviously they were some of the first to use launch systems, like we know, and Mr. Freeze is still one of the most incredible rides out there.
Like 25 years later,
and
Mr.
the spaghetti
Freeze
bowls
still
are
slaps.
good, especially now they no longer have the over-the-shoulder restraints.
Yeah.
So I think that they had a good start.
I guess that's true. It took some time.
The Mummies were like a different
The
direction, and I think now they went to a direction of like more accessibility. They can be placed all over the world. I mean, they're having more success selling coasters now than they ever had. Which I think is thanks,
really hit the grand
to like
slam
changing their business model to more of
so.
like a model-y base. And you know what? That's how Vekoma got big. So good for them.
So, more power to them.
Next up, Gravity Group decided to be not very, very, very close.
Wow, this was super
79.2%. So like it's sort of kind of hot, like lukewarm.
It's just below the 4 stars.
Gravity Group, I don't have too much experience with them. They're fine, but I'm not going to say either way for me. I don't think they're that hot.
Sven, what Gravity Group coasters have you ridden?
Park Simple, right?
Yes, I think that's the only one even. But yeah, previously I said that I guess Gravity Group is a competitor for RMC, but as they also do inversions on wooden coasters.
Yeah, they've definitely got a lot of looping wooden coasters out. Running.
But I haven't
already
experienced one yet, so
I like CDTs a lot. I wish that model would have taken off. Yeah.
The mid-sized, like the family little airtime machine Woodies, I think are like their most successful product line right now. Stuff like Twister at Gronelund are like their current legacy. And then there's rides like Mind Blower here in Orlando, which is a cool ride, but it's really niche. It's super violent.
Like most wooden coasters, the first thing I think of when I think Gravity Group is like high maintenance. And we're hearing from our friends in China, for example, that the Gravity Group Woodies running at the Fanta Wild Parks,
the Trailblazer coasters,
they're all like running like trash because it's not being maintained properly. And I even noticed it in Mind Blower, which I like Mind Blower, but it is definitely a tad rough. And that's kind of my association that I have with them because the ZDT one ran fine.
I will say I like Timberliners a little bit better than the current generation of Millennium Flyers.
I do not, but that's because I'm fatter than you.
Millennium Flyer lap bars will ratchet down mid-ride unless you hold it up, whereas the Timberliners are hydraulic and they stay put.
Yeah.
So I like that. But
all right.
Well, let's go to the Super Knot.
Next one is one of my favorites. Okay, everyone ready? Jinmao Rides, Golden Horse, obviously discussed through our Instagram as a knot. Yeah, in fact, it's only 35% hot, so it's very, very not.
Instagram is thoroughly disgusted.
It's like maybe 5 years I would have been too.
Disgusted by Jinmao Rides.
Okay, stars. Are y'all ready for this? I think they're hot.
I love Golden Horse.
Well, I don't have any experience. I don't think I have any experience with them.
I don't think Europeans trust the
There's
Golden
just
Horse.
not a good reason for any park outside of China to build a Golden Horse coaster.
Okay, so I'm curious because I think their Tilt, which is selling like crazy in Asia, will be a fun one to see some U.S. park toy with because they're probably at a decent price point.
Yeah.
At the same time, they have this new spinner with an inversion in it, which one
Super
of them,
roller coaster.
yeah,
China
one of them is
Dinosaur
in
Park.
China Dinosaur Park, and that was actually really fun.
That one we post on Instagram routinely, and people,
Yeah, I use it for
gets
the
a lot
poll.
of good feedback from people. They're like, "Oh, that looks cool. Like, I would ride that. That looks fun."
And I think that they started off
other people
definitely
who've ridden it are like, "Oh, this is a good ride. Like, it's
very
way better."
copy, but you got to remember one thing is that like a lot of these knockoffs that you see in China of like U.S. parks or U.S. or just Western manufacturer roller coasters, they're not actually Golden Horse. Oftentimes they're like BSA or some other manufacturer. So a Golden Horse has a couple of clones of things, including the Shenlin SLC.
But then, in their defense, there's been embargoes and stuff historically. Sometimes it was just the best way for a park to, grow in the market out there, and not everything like. Nothing is a perfect copy.
And another thing I want to say is that like a lot of these Chinese parks, especially ones that aren't in metros or high-end areas, they have no business building expensive Western roller coasters. And so at least Genma Rides is really helping with this Chinese theme park boom where like every park has like major roller coasters because Genma has an affordable, somewhat Western product.
Yeah.
And I kind of love seeing how many parks are being built, and that wouldn't have been a thing without Genma Rides being involved.
There's like parks that are building Golden Horse coasters alongside GCIs and Intamins and B&Ms and stuff. So they really are in some ways being selected for their for what they offer and what they can do, and not just because they're the cheapest or because they're Chinese. Like this is Suzhou Forest World Park where you've got Hurricane, the Epic Mac launcher, and then they also have the Golden Horse tilt coaster.
World Joyland that has
has
Skyripper, and then also a Golden Horse mine train.
Yeah.
So that's all cool. Next up.
Okay, yeah. Now it's time for the hottest of them all.
Yeah, this one is real hot.
SBF Visa.
Oh.
No.
I was like, wait, we didn't ask that one, did we? No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't actually put it in there. I had to cut it. But
No.
super, super hot. I'm sure everyone can guess it. Like super hot. That I'm going to be controversial with. Rocky Mountain Construction.
Snore.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Well,
Yeah.
So Sven likes
think
Rocky Mountain Construction.
yeah, because you have to understand that here in Europe we have 3 examples, of which one is in the middle of nowhere and very hard to get. And the other one is in Poland, which is
Eastern
also
Europe.
not very obvious for everyone. So we're left with one, and that's Untamed.
In the polder, which is
Yeah.
also not even that convenient.
Yeah.
yeah, for some people.
You
So
can't get to any of these by train, can you? Like,
Oh, I'm sure you can get to Angelandia by train.
Untamed, probably.
I guess so.
And I think the public transport, yeah, maybe by bus, you can go to Kolmarden. But so yeah, for us, there is not really RMC fatigue because we are waiting for more, even. But I guess in the US,
I love
it's
that
different.
for like Wallaby Holland that they're like spearheading the movement.
I'm going to say this. I would have said not personally, but I'm going to be like not using my heart and using my brain. I'm going to say they're hot.
Well, I mean, they're doing something right. They've got
Because
the entire.
first of all, they are blowing life into like rides that are Maiden's Nightmare and aren't worth any sort of verdant capital
I mean, it's
investment.
been 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, like to the day, people were asking themselves if the Texas Giant was going to work. Like the first pictures of the new Texas Giant track work happening, and we're looking at it and we're like, what is this? Like, what on God's green earth is this track? And like, it's not even tubular. Like, is it going to be like, there were so many questions. It was the weirdest. It seemed like such a risk at the time. And then of course it was a tremendous.
And the crowd pleasers, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
If definitely people love it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say they're
They've got
hot.
the whole community wrapped around their fingers. It's fine. We love Alan Schilke, maybe not so much for RMC stuff, but because of his work with SNS.
In fact, SNS was rated hot by our Instagram followers, 85% hot. So definitely worthy. I think they're hot.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything
I
with
think
SNS that don't
is
like.
easily the hottest around between their compressed air launch coasters and the true 4D coasters.
And I think even the free spins are fun.
Even the free spins are solid. I would rather ride, like, I think free spins are a more interesting and marketable ride than some of the other like low footprint e-ticket coasters that are being offered.
Well, from our point of view, I wouldn't really say SNS is hot.
You mean you don't like Sequoia Magic Loop or whatever that torture
well, our
device
references
is?
are Sequoia Magic Loop, wonderful
Which is an
ride.
SNS Screamin' Squirrel, for those of you who aren't sure. It's one of the original like vertical Wild Mouse coasters that like are as bizarre and unpleasant as they look.
And then there's Ring Racer, which never opened.
I mean, I guess it opened for like a day or two. And
It was open for a few hours, I think, and then one of the tanks exploded.
Yeah, like this was already after years of trying to get it to open.
And now they just took the loss on it. Now it's just sitting.
So those are the not so good examples.
But
we do have Timber Drop at Frisbee City, which is a really good Loco. Mm-hmm. And then we have Trenan at CKR Summerland, which is a known ride because of its
bizarre thing. Yeah.
Structure.
Next up, this is a fun one. Zamperla was deemed quite nuts by the audience. Only 52% liked him.
Zamperla's got some unsung heroes. Like, they've got some good stuff that people don't think about.
I think they're hot because their flat ride collection is sick.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
giant discovery.
I'm going to say not for the coasters, but hot for the.
If you had to say one overall, like, do you think the rest of their attractions can outweigh and make them hot, or not enough?
It depends on the way you look at it, because if you're a new theme park and you want to fill up your park with some decent rides, then it's hot, and better than some other cheaper manufacturers. But is it really a 4-star?
There's definitely some it's not terribly.
Here's what I would say. I think big box coasters wise they got nothing to show. But flat rides, they have one, I would say, of any manufacturer currently, the best selection. And they have their spinning Wild Mice, which are always solid. And then I like their motorbike coasters. I mean, they're not the most spectacular, but they're decent. And Dinosaur Mountain was a big surprise.
And like the mine trains at Hong Kong Ocean Park and its clone in India at Ildab's Magica. Like, they've got some good stuff, but then there's also stuff that's like way worse than it has any right to be. The Volaris are terrible. The vertical drop coasters are terrible. Like, there's no excuse for why.
I just can't believe that the manufacturer that does so well with some of their attractions end up having rides
for it to run like that,
like Thunderbolt and Rolling Thunder.
Yeah,
so. But yeah, I think they still take the edge because I think their flat rides are phenomenal. So I'm going to say hot.
All right.
Next up, we are going to be moving to the selection of kind of like a wild card of different aspects of theme parks. This one should go a little quicker. Let's see. So we're going to start off with Halloween events. They're deemed not by Instagram. Pretty close, though, 77.2%.
I'm surprised it was that low.
It's interesting,
crazy about Halloween. I think they're over. I can't relate.
I used to be really into them.
People are obsessed, especially in Orlando. Like, people go apeshit over the holiday events, the Halloween stuff, and the Christmas stuff, like, to a lesser extent. And I can't relate. I can't be like, I'm glad everyone else. I enjoy it vicariously through other people who are really crazy about. But I like the haunted houses and stuff, like the haunts and walkthroughs and stuff. I could never be bothered. Never.
I think it's really about either you like it or you don't, or you avoid the parks. Because a big negative aspect of Halloween at theme parks for me is the crowds.
Yeah,
oh, totally.
Like, that's why I usually avoid them. But now, last few years, I've tried to do one event just to have a taste of the atmosphere and see how the different parks do it. Obviously, the chain was broken last year, but I'll probably try to do it again this year.
Well, Studios Florida,
I'll say they're hot.
I can't be bothered.
And I'll mostly say that because they offer something really unique. And for the parks, they are great money makers. I mean, some parks make the majority of their profits in like a singular month.
Oh, yeah.
And events like Not Scary Farm, I really do appreciate the amount of love that goes into them. And they're becoming like, they're important to the regions that they're in. Like, they are traditions
Profit
now.
Margins on
especially
Halloween
like a place like California, Florida, where like they've been running for years and years and years now. I think that they're a tradition. Like, everyone every fall like makes a point of going to these. And so I think that's why they're hot.
Like, I'm happy for parks that have success with them. But
next up, we have holiday events.
Halloween is a holiday.
which, well, I'm talking about like Christmas and stuff, but I don't want to use that word because I want to have everyone to be
winter
clear
holidays.
here.
So Christmas, Hanukkah,
anything like that.
Winter.
Yeah, winter.
Yeah, I guess they're hot. I think they're hot.
Solstice. Oh, yeah.
Winter.
I mean, I like Christmas lights, or I guess holiday lights.
Yeah, it's all about the lights. Yeah.
Holiday lights, twinkling colors.
I really like Winter Efteling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely my bucket list for me.
It's a very cozy way of visiting the park, and it already has a great atmosphere, but it gives that extra special touch, and it's a great example of being not limiting to Christmas or anything. Like it's for everyone,
Yeah. Next up, food festivals. They were deemed not by only a few percent on
3.5 stars.
Instagram. I think they're hot.
Love food festivals.
Love food festivals.
I mean, if you're in California right now, that's what you get. So I guess that
I do think it's a typical American thing, though.
Very.
'Cause I don't feel that here it really happens. Because parks...
Even here, they're quite recent. Like, parks are now really starting to explore
Epcot's
it.
Food and Wine Festival started a trend for us.
Parks here struggle because they try different stuff, but at the end of the day, the GP just wants French fries and burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here dining has got a lot more of an experience. In
Plus,
fact,
we can bring our own food in the park. So.
Oh, yeah, that's
which
true.
We can. In-park table service, actually, on the topic of dining, barely
Just
not,
barely
like
not.
0.6% away, so
yeah.
they're definitely lukewarm.
Yeah.
I think they're hot, but it depends on the chain. Like, I don't want to do it at Six Flags or any park that has bad operations. But stuff like Universal,
definitely depends on
Disney,
the restaurant.
SeaWorld, like if there's
Depends on
cool
where
dining
you're going.
experiences,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
For me, it's a must if you're a resort. If you're a true resort,
Yeah.
then you have to have
you're
it. But if you're a
Efteling,
regular theme park, why even bother?
Fantasia
Yeah. Year-round operations were deemed hot. In
yeah.
fact, so hot, they were 97%
That's
hot.
the highest percentile of anything I've seen. That was even higher than any of the manufacturers.
I agree. Even for parks that have winter seasons, like where it's really cold out, you can... I mean, it's been proven this year. Stuff like Busch Gardens Williamsburg has been running through the winter.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing just fine. People find... If there's just a way to get out and do something, parks will have something to offer.
Parks are realizing that people really will pay admission to drive their car in your park in February just for something to do. And I think that's great.
Yeah, or just kind of hang out and have nice scenery, do a little food festival, and maybe ride a coaster, even if only one is open. I think people are willing to pay the price for that. So,
however, I am on the not side.
Interesting.
So on the 4%, because I prefer that parks have the time to maintain their rides during that period of time and making sure that when the park is open, at least all the rides are operating.
I don't think year-round operation means that they can do that, because a lot of these year-round operations that we're seeing coming up now for parks to stay in business really involves limited attractions, which means that everything can be rotated. Yeah. And so therefore everything can still be,
Sven has a point
maintained.
though when you think of like Magic Mountain and their first year of year-round operations and like how hard it was for them to accomplish what they intended.
Well, they've always had year-round operations. I'm not saying like 365. I'm saying like being open every weekend or like all seasons.
Because that's true. And then like a park like Busch Gardens Tampa manages, they've always been open.
I mean, Knott's has been doing decent with like closing their rides for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Sven is not going to agree with us about anything related
and
to Knott's Berry
sometimes that
Farm.
ends up being everything.
Because when you go to Knott's Berry Farm in February and half of the coasters are closed, it demonstrates his point.
Maybe he'll agree with us on the paid fast pass systems.
Yes.
Everyone said it was a not. In fact, it was quite not.
Yeah, people were mad.
I think they're hot because if I'm going to go and travel very far, then I'm just going to go and invest in making sure I get on everything.
It's just another component to planning like a theme park. Like if you're a resort, it's kind of like sit-down restaurants. I think if you're a resort and you're doing hotel packages, dining packages, and stuff, like then that's part of it. Like that should just be part of your
a prime example
and there should be tiers and
is like so we went to Shanghai Disney like on our third or fourth visit, whatever, and it was like really busy. And we're like, well, we don't want to wait.
Our flight was delayed and we had a Saturday to kill,
we just bought extra fast pass packages and we got on everything and it was cute. Like I mean, if I'm all the way out there at an expensive resort that people pay thousands of dollars to go to, then I'm gonna just spend an extra couple bucks.
At risk of sounding too much like a capitalist, it's like you've got your choices in how much money you want to spend for every component of your trip, whether it's hotels, whether it's food, tickets, like special events. And I just think that fast passes are part of that.
I feel a not coming.
Sven is not having it.
Well, if you're a theme park fan, it makes a lot of sense. And for some people that really don't hate lines at theme parks and have the money for it, it makes sense. But I think Europa Park is the perfect example of a resort that doesn't do it and that shows that you don't need it. Because
I feel like
if they have
Disney
good
World right now.
operations, it's just. But on the other hand, it's a very economic decision of parks. Like
I just think it's an anomaly.
If you don't have it, you are getting lines.
At Europa
And
Park, I think
that's
it's an
what I hate.
anomaly because at the end of the day, Europa Park's goal is to be a showcase for future clients for Mac, and profitability for the park is less about like maximum profit and more about making sure that everyone who's there is having an amazing time.
Okay, you know what? I don't necessarily agree because the amount of money the theme parks like Europa Park bring in from hotel stays and ticket sales is probably more than they sell in like roller coasters.
And they
like,
have the
they make a
shows
lot
and
of
the
money.
food, and they have a lot of other ways to get that money that parks are getting from.
Because they don't even have a free fast pass system.
I mean,
They're
it
just
reminds me of
fast pass.
Fantasyland. They don't
Well,
need tickets.
They had it during COVID though. That was
they
the
did?
first time.
Like a reservation
Yeah, it was
thing?
like a online
virtual queues?
reservation, a virtual
Yeah.
queue. Yeah,
well,
That's
so
what we're
but it
talking
was
about next,
very
actually.
random and limited. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, virtual queues are deemed
Oh.
not.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah. They're pretty not.
65%.
So
65.
I'm going to say not. No reason I'm going to say is because virtual queues don't necessarily guarantee entry. Like some people pay a lot of money to try and ride Hagrid, and then they can't get one all day long. They try all day.
Yeah.
And it must be frustrating. Like I like the idea of them, but they're not equal access really.
I would have to agree. I feel like for parks, there's
Like
a lot
I
of...
like not standing in line, but I also like knowing I can get on something if I really want to get on something.
Especially in America, this is like where dark capitalism comes in, because I feel like there's a lot of incentive for parks in the U.S. to get people to do virtual queues and fast passes and stuff so that they will be lingering in the shops and buying more things and more food out of boredom instead of lingering in queues where there's not an opportunity to sell
money.
things to them.
Well, you know what's coming. I'm going to say hot because
Okay.
Damn,
there
Sven.
are
All right, Sven.
also other examples that show that, for example, Walibi Holland, they used it for COVID last year and it worked. I have to admit, I wasn't there on a busy day, but when you're not, when the crowds are okay, I mean, it's very convenient and you have to
That's
wait a
true.
lot less. So it depends a bit on how the park uses the system.
Yeah.
Sure.
Circumstantially, it means everything because there's parks doing virtual queues for rides because the attendance and the demand is so high. And like everyone has a horror story about Rise of the Resistance and its virtual queue setup. So I think it'd be different if
Yeah.
like a whole park rolled out like a blanket virtual queue system where everything is on it and it's not like a major crowd control move.
And Python at Efteling is also a good example because the last hour of the day you can queue without virtual queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess Hagrid does sometimes too.
Yeah. It depends.
Next up is a lockers, hot or not. Actually, everyone said not. It was very, very
Negative.
not. I like my stuff not getting stolen, so I
Yeah.
think they're hot.
Yeah. Everybody is going to grow up someday and get a
Everyone's
nice
gonna get
camera
their phone and
a
wallet
nice-
stolen at
yeah.
a theme park like I did, and then you're gonna wish every ride had
And we
a
didn't
locker.
say paid lockers. We just asked.
We just
about
said locker, yeah,
lockers.
because Universal has free slot
Universal
lockers. I
does
like
free
them.
lockers. There's other places. I mean, Disney doesn't really need lockers for anything except for Tron, but those are free. So, it, like for some people, they just feel like it's expensive, overpriced, like like a nickel and dime moment. And I'm like, well, I don't want my stuff to get stolen or damaged, and it like happens a lot. So
Yeah.
just because I can take my phone on Steel Vengeance doesn't mean that I want to. Like,
Also, when you're far away from home, when you're traveling, the worst thing that can happen is literally if you lose your phone or wallet or keys. Like it is a complete nightmare.
or like in China, you
Like,
travel
I would-
with your passport.
yeah,
Like, you
I
better
want to
a
have all my
locker.
stuff in lockers at all
Yeah.
times.
Well, again, here in Europe, it's different because we rarely have parks that have lockers that are frequently used. I mean, the only example I can think of is Energylandia, where you had to use it for the water rides. but either you have to take everything with you, or they have the enclosed.
Yeah, I like those. Like the systems
Again,
where only
then
the train
it can
access
still happen.
them. Yeah.
And then Efteling also has the Baron system where you get a bracelet
Yeah,
and
like
they
I
keep
like
it for you.
LA.
The
Yeah.
Merlin parks do that as well.
Yeah, 13 does it.
In the UK. And it was an adjustment for me when I was in the States. Oh, right, I need to first go to the locker, put my bag, and come back. And
Yeah.
actually, no, Valkyria also had them in
Yeah.
Leesburg. So there are a bit more parks than I think.
I just feel like it's a very
majority,
American
but-
phenomenon, and it has to do with our relationship with petty crime. Honestly, like I think that's the long short of it.
Yeah, it's a good mix of parks trying to get an extra buck, but I like them. Next up is something I also like, but it was deemed not by Instagram, was water parks. I mean,
Well,
actually, I don't know if I
almost-
like water parks so
almost
much.
hot.
I like Volcano Bay.
I like good water parks, but there's
but like
a lot
most
more,
water parks are pretty shit.
There's a lot of bad water parks. Way more bad water parks. Than
Yeah,
good
actually,
water
I'm going to
parks.
say they're not. Okay, I'm not.
Instagram. We agree with you.
Do you like
Well,
water
if
parks?
if it's a hot day at a theme park and it's busy and I just want to cool down a bit, that's when a water park becomes very attractive. And I don't really link it to theme parks though, because there's this chain in Europe called Center Parks.
Oh, yeah, I love
and
center parks.
They have like these little houses that you can rent for a week or a weekend, and it always has a water park, and that's one of the things that I.
But
link
Europe
to
does
it
have
and that
spectacular
I-
indoor and like subtropical themed water parks. That's
Yeah.
definitely a lot less common here. Here it's a lot more concrete and outside, unless you're looking
Okay.
at Orlando water parks. So I guess I'm based on our demographic of our audience. I think most people vote in a U.S. water park
Yeah.
idea, and not necessarily because I would agree. Center
That makes
parks
sense, so, yeah.
and like indoor subtropical themed water parks. Like I'm super into.
I think in
them.
the U.S. a lot of people associate water parks with theme parks because so many
Like
regional
the
parks
Cedar
have
Fair
attached
ones, the Six
water
Flags
parks.
ones, yeah.
And there's
That's
no-
why also I included it
and
in here.
some water parks are included with admission, and some, like Cedar Point's water park, are an additional.
It's all a marketing
admission,
game
and it
because
all
like the
has to
park
do
could be
with-
really great. It just depends on what competition
It
they
has
have.
to do with marketing leverage. So, in a way, it's a little bit corrupt. Like,
Like think of San Antonio. There's so many water parks
Yeah.
and Aquatica exists. So like Six
Yeah.
Flags is like, okay, well this park
yeah,
is free.
yeah, Six
Come in.
Flags Fiesta Texas has a free water park because it's their only leverage against Aquatica and Schlitterbahn.
Great America did it too in California.
Yeah.
Which that was a really bad water park.
Yeah.
But they're opening a new one this year. So
Yeah.
hopefully. Next up is our category of different kinds of attractions / ride vehicles, kind of like a mix of different production models and stuff. So we'll start with aquariums, which were deemed not. I think they're hot.
I guess they're an acquired taste, but I feel like they're so popular. Like, I think people, maybe it's just kind of I think this answer might be something kind of like Sven was saying, where like maybe a lot of people don't associate aquariums with theme parks. So
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not gonna-
It's not for me. It's not a reason to go to a theme park.
oh yeah,
Okay,
no.
fair enough.
But I will say that any park that has an aquarium, like I really enjoy seeing the aquarium, and sometimes it's an upcharge. Like we did the Sea Life Aquarium in Carlsbad, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
attached to Legoland. I liked that a lot. Or like the Sea Life sponsored submarine ride at the Legoland in Windsor, and then there's
For California.
and then and they have one too. And then there's like Chime on Ocean Kingdom, of course, is like the main reason we
Yeah,
thought
the
of
ones at
asking
SeaWorld
this.
are all really nice.
Like SeaWorld, Epcot, like there's some nice ones, like, but it may not be something that people even immediately associate with theme parks. They just associate it with like the
Yeah.
local aquarium in their city.
Another thing that was deemed not, but very close to a hot, is drop towers. I said a hot, simple.
Everyone is afraid of heights, including me. But I still like them a lot. even
I
though they
remember
scare
us
me.
being stuck in
Lex
Six Flags
Luthor.
Magic Mountain,
Yeah.
Oh, I
waiting
love
there
that.
for 5 minutes.
That was iconic.
But yeah,
you said
I
they're hot?
love drop towers.
Yeah.
I
Me too.
absolutely love them.
I also love vest restraints, but it was actually really not on Instagram. I guess I put a picture of Blue Hawk because I wanted it to be inclusive of both B&M and Vekoma.
Yeah.
I think they're hot.
They can be
because-
really great or really not
Because
great.
they're good for rides where they need to be held in place.
Yeah.
Like SNS
They
free
need to
spins.
restrain your body
But they're
movement.
also really good for coasters that are rougher and track poorly, and they kind of extend their life, like the Vekomas, for example. So I just think they're hot throughout.
Yeah,
I
for
don't really
some
think there's
people,
any
they're
reason
more
for them to not be hot.
uncomfortable.
I mean, we even have team members that hate them because It just presses too much.
And then
on them.
and then there's some rides that just don't do them very well, like the vest restraints on Rolling Thunder at Owa, the Zamperla.
Yeah, I
was
guess
just a
they're
bad
vest
example. Like there's enough bad examples of vest restraints. The early wing coasters where like the vests ratchet down and lock. That was a problem that they solved with Gatekeeper and wing coasters beyond that. But like the original wing coasters, people complain about the vest because they become very constricting.
Yeah.
Compared to like a normal B&M vest, which comes with their own criticisms. But there's a lot of people, myself included, like I would much rather have a old school B&M vest or an old school B&M harness on like a dive machine than a vest.
Sure.
So,
how about you, Sven?
Again, it depends on the ride.
Yeah.
It
What was the percentage for them again?
It depends.
First restraint 58.7 Hawk, 41 knot.
That doesn't surprise me because there's some rides that it just is awesome, an awesome alternative, and then there's some that it's
I do
terrible.
need one on a boomerang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
We love the MK1212s.
I mean, speaking of boomerangs, Vekoma boomerangs were rated knots. Obviously, I mean they were very, very knots. Simple and basic. Should be no surprise. I think they're hot because, especially when they were being built, they offered very small parks a solution to become a major player by offering 6 inversions, 2 drops forwards and backwards. They were like wonder machines for a decent price, decent footprint.
Vekoma's
I
been
think that
building
what they did was good.
the standard boomerang to roughly the same specifications for 40 years. So
Shows you that
that's
they're
success.
technically hot.
That's a success story. Like 40 years ago, the first ones were being planned, and they got really close to perfection as far as like the success of it. Obviously, now they offer different trains. Like all Vekoma boomerangs come standard with MK1212s. Like there's always room for improvement, but like I love a good boomerang. Like I still genuinely I love sitting in the back row. I can't help but I just like them.
Back row, best row.
For me, it's fatigue.
Fatigue.
There
There's so many.
There
of
are
them.
2 in Belgium. That already says enough because it's too dated for me.
There's none in Florida. I would like one.
Surprisingly to me, the Vekoma Giant Verta boomerang was also deemed knots. Not quite as knot, but also a knot.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think they're hot. One of the most thrilling coasters out there. They track much smoother.
Agreed.
I think it's because like most people have ridden the one at Six Flags New England, and it's bad.
Next up, I want to throw in the trackless dark ride real quick.
Oh yeah,
it was
LPS
deemed
dark
hot,
ride.
which is kind of cool because it's not a roller coaster, and we have roller coaster readers. In fact, it was quite hot, and I think they're hot, and I think any dark ride's hot.
I'm glad
that's really hot.
Like I wonder if it's like a lot of people who've ridden Rise at the Resistance that had like a good experience on Rise at the Resistance, and so they're.
I don't think that many people have ridden it. This must be from more data than just Rise, because Rise is still relatively new.
We don't have too many in the I mean, Europe and Asia have had more time to ride.
Sure, but what I'm saying is like this statistic is not based on rides. It's based on a lot more than just like a lot more rides than just rides
in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, this statistic comes from all of our followers worldwide. We have like over 1,000.
Right, I'm just thinking. I'm like, at least for the like in Europe and Asia, it's easy to find a good trackless dark ride, but in the U.S. it's not. So I'm thinking like, if people were thinking of other kinds of rides, like the Penguin ride at SeaWorld or something.
Well, I don't think anyone likes it that much. Next up is B&M flying coasters, deemed hot at 91 or 92%. I think they're hot.
Oh yeah, I mean. There's some that aren't.
Except for the Superman.
Yeah, the Superman clones are kind of blasé. Tatsu's too much for me. And then the rest is kind of a sweet
So
spot.
it's still 8 out of 10 for you?
Yeah, I'd say like 9 out of 10. Like
I think they've become not for me, but so below 80%, because there is a new player in town with a new model. So
the Vekoma fly. I didn't even put it up there because I figured no one had ridden it except for Sven and maybe a couple of other people in Europe.
Yeah, most Europeans, but yeah. So I mean, I guess after finally riding the first time I rode it, that was back in 2012. So that was really new and fresh. But then when I rode the other ones later on, I was less impressed. So and also the operational nightmare.
Oh,
It
I
gives
feel
a
like they're
negative vibe.
very teary. Like There is the God tier, which is Tatsu, Flying Dino, even if you want to discuss them, the Manta clones, and then Joylands I would throw in there. But then I feel like it's a pretty big drop off when you have Harpy, which is kind of like Superman, and it's Supermans. And I haven't ridden Air, but Air is a similar scope, I guess. But yeah, I would say overall they're hot because they're just cool experiences, and I think that they fared better than the Vekoma ones, even though I do love the Vekoma ones. Next up, we have Mac Bluefire clones. I think we've all ridden one. Yeah, we have all ridden one.
I love the Mac Bluefire clones. I mean, I know they don't have like the best rate of acceleration. It's just that I think the layouts are good, and I really enjoyed the one that we rode in China recently.
Yeah, I think they're hot.
If I have to choose between putting a B&M Batman or a Bluefire, I think I choose Bluefire.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I think it's just fun to have a modern looper that also has a launch, and that just a variety of different things. And that last roll, whatever they call it, the Bluefire roll.
I think
or
it's
something.
more accessible for people as well compared to the Batmans.
And I think that's why it's sold so well, because they're popping up everywhere. Like they're on several continents. I think on. Is there one in North America? I don't think so. It's Asia and Europe, of course.
We have Copperhead Strike.
Yeah. Next up is the SNS Free Spin.
Oh, everyone's having free spin fatigue.
Not.
57% hot. And, like, I get it. Everyone in the U.S. has ridden probably...
The Six Flags ones.
Yeah. And the Six Flags ones are okay. Arashi is great, but that's it. The others
I think they're hot because they offer kind of like an X2, but like a milder version, and it's more accessible. This allows Sparks to build something that does that, but without breaking the bank the way that X2 would have broken the bank.
I'd like to see one in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't Wild by Holland supposed to get one, and then they stepped away from that idea?
Yeah. And they got Untamed instead.
Maybe it might still come,
I think it'd be a good fit for them. That's very Wild by Holland-ish ride.
Speaking of Batman clones.
Yeah, speaking of Batman clones, you're not alone, Sven. They are not, but they are very close to hot. So they're 79%.
Yeah. They're like only 2.5% difference between Batman clones and Bluefire.
Don't get me wrong,
clones.
I like them, but it's.
I think they're solid.
Yeah, I don't go out of my way to ride them really,
them.
but I'm always happy to ride one if I've got time.
They do what they do very well, and they're quick and punchy.
If you don't like yours, just ship it to Belgium. Thank you.
Sounds like I don't really like.
There's
them
3 in Central Texas. We should give one to Belgium.
Yes, please.
So something with the exact same stats actually are the Skyrockets 2s.
The Skyrocket 2s.
They were also 78.9%, so they're technically not in our rankings. Well, I guess we already kind of touched on them earlier.
There's a little bit of fatigue there.
I like what they do for the industry.
But yeah, they're
pretty tall.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I enjoy
so
them.
For me, it's perfect in Europe. We have 2, and that's.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to say they're hot.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They're hot enough.
We can ride
They're
Tigers
sufficiently warm.
Okay, this one is really fun. You want to say it?
The Vekoma SLCs are 32.5% hot.
Therefore, they're very not.
Thank you, people.
67.5% not. I'm not surprised. Nobody's surprised.
Are you going to say they're not, or are you going to say they're hot?
I'm going to say that they're fine. I've ridden some...
A new category introduced.
We've ridden some that run like garbage. Like, I'm not going to tell people that the SLC is great if they live...
Layout is hot, consistency is not, and therefore it's not.
Yeah, they're super inconsistent, and it's harder to find a good one than it is to find like one that isn't decent to terrible.
Dutch heart is being torn apart.
The Boomerang is a better legacy for Vekoma. I'm just saying.
It's true.
No regrets.
I take it Sven thinks they're super not, right? Because it's Sven. Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh, you don't like Vampire at Wallaby Belgium?
Vampire!
No.
Vampire.
It hurts too much.
Vampire.
I think the
most ambitious crossover.
I
of all
do
time.
have to say that the roller coaster Mayan at your Energylandia was okay.
Yeah.
Because of the new trains. So, but it's still not a reason to go to a theme park for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
For me, I guess it is because I would go for one.
We're stupid. We would go to Wild Adventures
Except
to
for
ride.
the non-production models.
Right,
I'm curious
the custom
about those.
Oh, like Kumali. Yeah, we've ridden the clone of Kumali.
The UK
in
has an
Shenzhen.
interesting variety. They have 3 different layouts. They've got one of each. They've got Kumali, they've got Infusion, and they've got the one in Skegness, the Jubilee Odyssey.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's right.
They don't have
that one. Will definitely. Pull
I don't
up
think
the
UK
ranking
has
thing.
the same relationship with SLCs that the rest of the world has.
And apparently they are better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, the rest of the world does have the same association with Compagnie des Alpes as I do.
We're doing theme park chains now.
Theme park
by the
chains.
way.
I should have introduced
That's
that.
an introduction that we need.
It is. Well, I guess they're pretty close to hot, but they are deemed not. 77.7%. These are parks like Walibi Holland, Walibi Belgium, Park Asterix, Futuroscope, Bellewaerde, and then a bunch of resorts, like ski resorts.
Yeah.
Right?
I think,
They're on their way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely had like a dead moment, like a dead period before like heavy reinvestments. Obviously, Walibi Belgium and Walibi Holland are prime examples of the sheer amount of money being put into these parks now, which I think is why they're hot. And Ronalp, of course. Yeah.
The 3 Wallabies, actually. Yeah.
I bet a lot of our American readers had to look up what their parks
I did put the
who
parks
they are.
on there so they would know
an
association.
They would call that,
One that surprised me a lot is OCT East. OCT, so the Happy Valley Parks. It's literally 0.2% away from being hot. So like it's by all intents and purposes it's pretty much hot. Technically not, but
yeah, I'm surprised
they're
people.
Not. They're like the Six Flags.
We've had
East.
enough firsthand experience with OCT parks to feel very.
Yeah, you want to get on
sobering.
More than one roller coaster all day? Well, good luck at OCT.
I'm surprised that everyone who voted, I'd say a vast majority of people voted, have never been to a Happy
I think
Valley.
the reason that they voted so close to hot is because a lot of people is associated with their ride lineups, and they've been around. It's the oldest major theme park chain in China, so I guess people know about them and they know about the rides they've got and the OCT thrusts and all the cool coasters. It's just the operations completely drag it down, like, and the maintenance is miserable there.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion, Sven?
I'm just sitting here like a evil villain with my cat on my lap.
Yeah, it's pretty cool if everyone has a
saying,
visual.
OCTs, no idea.
Yeah. And then the Sunac parks.
Sunac parks were actually considered
less hot,
which
is not true.
Okay.
Which is not true.
They had 71% versus almost 80% for OCT, and obviously that's not a reflection of our experiences.
I think
the Sunac parks are
they
way
have
nicer.
custom theming for all the parks. They have completely custom ride rosters for all the parks. They are nicely maintained. They are. Yeah, I really liked them. They were nice. They're not
to overly
super polished,
simplify
but they're
the
nice.
scenario. I associate Sunac parks as being more like Cedar Fair or
Cedar Fair without all the concrete. Yeah,
and then OCT definitely more Six Flags. So
one that pissed me off.
was Chimelong Group.
Chimelong Group. Like, where have y'all been? Like, what about Chimelong do you not like?
I guess people.
What
just
is there not
don't
to like?
They don't know.
There's just not enough. They don't have enough to their name.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they put Walrus Splash on
which
there.
is
It's pretty
fine.
iconic.
Plus, I do also think that there are fans out there that really do not agree with
Captain Animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
The water.
So, well,
Yeah.
that's okay. Next up is Parque Reunidos, which was not.
Oh, everyone
which
in the
includes
US.
Palace Entertainment.
Yeah, everyone in the U.S. hates Palace Entertainment.
I don't even like Palace Entertainment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think people in mainland Europe probably have a different.
I mean, there's a couple of
relationship.
cute parks, like Dutch Wonderland's cute.
Yeah.
And they've got some good water parks here and there.
Storybook Land in New Hampshire is cute.
But overall, it's just kind of like the forgotten chain, and I just don't think they're that well. I think the European parks are cool. I like Sacharen. I like Blue Park.
Yeah.
Also,
I think
they're also on their way back a little bit because at least they're giving major roller coaster on their smaller parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their
But
investments have
it's-
been intense.
But it's not the same yet because, like, one of their bigger parks, Park Warner, yes, they got a water park, and that's about it in the last 10 years almost. So
Yeah.
That's true.
I think they can still step up their game, and maybe with relaunching the theme parks, that might.
I kind of
be,
associate
an
them
option.
with kind of pulling a park that I hold very dear out of the dirt, and that's Movie Park. When they lost the licensing from Warner Brothers and Six Flags and stuff, it was a poor couple of years. Like, it was really bad. And seeing the park in its current state, I'm like, wow, like, they did get investments, and some major chain did see potential, and despite its location, put in quite some money to make it look better. And so that's my main association. But that's because it's close to my heart, I guess.
Plus, they get extra points for me because they have an annual pass that's really worth something. and not too expensive, and you can really travel all over Europe and do quite some parks with just one pass because of that.
Well, that's right, because weren't you, we were at Toverland with you, and then you and Timo went over to Move Park right after because you could just get in with your Bobbejaanland pass, I think it was.
Yeah,
see, that's nice, because that's a very American thing.
Sounds very Six Flags.
Yeah, in fact, Six Flags is next. It was deemed not super not, but like it was not.
I'm surprised. It's 75% of the vote. I'm surprised it was even that high because everybody loves to hate Six Flags, and there's things about Six Flags there's things about Six Flags that really frustrate me on a park to park level. They find all sorts of creative new ways to piss me off. It's a real art.
This is going to be the quote I'm going to use. Six Flags finds all sorts of creative ways to piss me off.
Yeah.
I just think that Six Flags' business model is just not sustainable, and it's been proven it's not sustainable because year after year after year after year, it's not sustainable. And I think giving away the gate and not really spending any money on making the inside look nice, I don't know. I just don't have a super positive association. I love Magic Mountain,
really beautiful,
but it's also like by far their nicest park. I think so.
If you like rides. And just the ride experience, and nothing more, nothing less. I think
from boarding the train to exiting the train, not the queue.
I think Six Flags is your chain of parks, but if you are looking for more than that, maybe you should try a different park.
In fact, Cedar Fair
was a surprise because
Cedar Fair is actually
super
radiating
hot,
and maybe one of our highest,
hot, like
96% hot,
96% hot. And people used to talk so much crap about Cedar Fair like 15 years ago.
I think Cedar Fair has proven that like they went from being the concrete standard that every park had to actually proving themselves for like having worthy investments,
taking
building
the Paramount
coasters.
Parks, 10 years of owning the Paramount Parks,
totally
from the time they were acquired at around during the recession to like 2018, 2019, where
it's a good kind of brand consistency. I know if I'm going to go to a Cedar Fair park, it's going to be operations will be decent. Yeah. All the rides will be open, which is not a guarantee at any Six Flags park. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I go to a Cedar Fair park and I always get what I expect. And I think it's really good
in the parks that they acquired, and they've elevated
except
them.
For nuts.
No, but my feel is that from the Six Flags parks I've done and from the Cedar Fair parks, is that Six Flags is trying to copy everything in every Six Flags park with here and there some unique rides and
incidentally
some
unique
rides.
Attractions.
While Cedar Fair, they also copy rides, of course, but I do feel that they preserve more the identity of each park.
Totally.
Compared to what they do at Six Flags.
Sure, and I also feel like Cedar Fair will invest where there's a return on money. Not always, because Kings Island doesn't necessarily have a return on investment usually. But I feel like they are much more specific with where the big money goes and where they see a future. As for I feel like Six Flags, no matter who you are, you're going to get the same ride, like you mentioned.
Six Flags is worse.
But that's also a positive thing. At least you know that something new is coming every year at a Six Flags park.
That is true. That's true. But if it's enough, if that is enough of an aspect for me to make it hot, I just think that the experiences at the parks are so inconsistent and lackluster and not a guarantee that I just don't want to give them the hot status for me personally.
For Six Flags,
What I do want to give a hot status personally, and I agree with the audience, is SeaWorld Parks Entertainment, 85%. Which includes Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
It was 85% hot, and I would agree. They have a really nice balance of things to do, all of them.
Yeah, and I think
they're polished.
Yeah, the collection that they have is a really, really strong lineup of like a half a dozen really major parks that I think people associate with being on vacation, with planning a full day around. And I think they do a great job with the vast majority of their projects.
I think the GP is quite negative towards SeaWorld still at the moment with the whole documentary and everything.
I think it's
getting
better.
Working on changing that image, and they are working on changing their identity as theme parks in the good direction as well.
Yep.
So
it's definitely. I think the worst is definitely in the past. We've seen an upswing in public opinion of zoos and aquariums and marine parks. Like the public opinion was really down after Blackfish in 2013, but it's definitely been in the upswing. And I think if we asked this question a couple years ago, it would have been not. But now I think it's hot.
I
think the negativity pushed those parks to really think of think of how they treat their animals and how they deal with things and have more respect. As
a
I'm
lot
sure
of the
that
documentary was
things,
like based on the 80s. It was kind of unfounded, a lot of it.
So things were already better than
a lot
what
of
the
things were already
documentary-
yeah,
better,
that's
and-
what I mean.
yeah.
It's not all bad, of course, but
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And of course, and I think SeaWorld made the switch towards a different product even before Blackfish, because you got to think about it. We got Manza, which was one of the biggest kind of upgrades in SeaWorld Orlando's history, integration-wise, with a new entrance that was added in 2009
Yeah.
before
Oh
Blackfish.
yeah, they
and
jumped
then-
on the coaster bandwagon in the 90s.
Yeah, and so even SeaWorld San Diego, that had so much more trouble with adding a coaster, already had a coaster open, several coasters open prior to Blackfish.
Yeah.
So I think they were already in that direction, and then Blackfish confirmed that we're going to go
Yeah.
keep moving in
Yeah.
that same direction.
Yep.
This
We're
one is
going
funny.
in overtime, but I think it's
All right,
important
yeah.
to
We're at
continue
an
because
hour,
there's
but,
so
yeah.
fun things still left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be a little bit of a longer
We'll make it,
episode,
yeah.
guys. The first thing within the hour is actually surprising to me.
Disney
Maybe not.
parks.
Disney parks are deemed not. I mean, they're pretty close, like 1%.
Well,
But
are you surprised? Asking coaster fans.
I don't even know if it's about the coasters.
I mean, two of my top 5 coasters in the world are Disney parks.
but we're us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Disney is I don't think it's even about the coasters. People know what to expect with Disney coasters, and I think most people like them for what they are. The Disney component, like the lukewarm reactions to Disney, I think are related to price, value, upkeep, preservation of nostalgia. Like there's a lot of emotions.
I mean, if Walt Disney World is
that
the
go
main
into
resort
it.
you've been to, I can imagine roller coaster wise. I think there's not like one that's super strong. They're all kind of good, but
And
not,
it
like,
has to do with
strong.
where you're from. If you're from the Eastern U.S.,
Yeah.
I don't expect you to have as good of a opinion of Disney as I do if you're from California or if
Yeah.
you're from Japan
Yeah, that's true.
um,
Yeah,
Or
which
in
obviously
Europe.
most of our.
or even in Paris.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in Europe, I think that if you would ask rankings of European coaster fans, Disney would not be in the top 3 of most of the people. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I still think they're hot because they have such a cool product and it's
Yeah.
usually pretty high
personally,
quality.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all 3 of us are big
Nobody
Disney
that
guys,
has
so-
made the effort to go to all of them and explore. Like obviously, we think they're hot because like we went through the trouble.
Pretty polar opposite
travel.
though is Universal Parks. They're trending hot. Like they are
Super
96% hot.
White hot. It's because of Harry Potter.
They've got really good roller coasters. But I think they've just kind of carved out this. They've been so head on with the competition of like trying to get after Disney and go after Disney and get big names and projects out there. And they've misfired a couple times. Like,
Yeah.
let me not tell you Fast and Furious is any good because
Yeah.
it's trash. But they have their Potter and they're actively building big roller coasters. And I think that people are noticing.
the park
All the new
experience.
stuff, always.
Unlike
Nintendo.
Disney, which is a lot of 2-park chains where one park is the better park, Universal has 1 2-park chain where both parks are extremely strong,
And then several
and
major
several
big gates
major
that are all
individual
really good.
parks that are fully fleshed out, well loved.
Like sometimes it's better to have one gate and have
Yeah.
a really, really strong one gate than having
Yeah.
a good one gate and a really poor second gate. Disneyverse.
Paris.
Plus, in Europe, you have the exotic feel of Universal because we
Yeah.
don't have one anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, it has Harry Potter, it has The Simpsons, it has.
I find it so
Nintendo
hilarious.
soon, so
That like people from the UK will travel halfway around the world to do a Harry Potter theme park experience. When
that's just not okay. Sorry.
It's crazy to me. I feel like they deserve a Wizarding World in London. I know they've
guess
got
they've got
the studio tour, but I
I
just find it
wonder-
ironic
But-
that like you can celebrate the UK's like one of their greatest cultural contributions, but you can only do it in the US or Japan or Beijing.
Yeah, that is funny.
I wonder if at some point they would try again in Europe.
I don't know. I hope so. I hope
I
that
know.
they want to. They
I mean,
probably
But
you
there
do.
know,
is
it's
heavy
quite
competition.
saturated
Yeah.
there, and that's because Merlin, which is
Yeah.
our next topic anyway.
Yeah.
Merlin Entertainment.
It's hot.
Hot.
Hotter than
81.4% hot.
Eh,
Um,
Hotter than Six Flags, sure.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion of him.
I don't-
I usually know them from Legoland, which they're.
I was gonna say,
Legoland's
I
are
think
fun parks. They're pretty
Americans
clean.
Have a pretty positive
But I'm not
idea.
like, "Ooh, Legoland."
But like in
They're
America,
expensive.
people when you go to Merlin parks, it's like you're going to Legoland. So you're going
Yeah.
to kiddie parks. Europe is like where the Merlin.
Even there, here at Ops aren't the best though.
Yeah.
it's pretty hit
I'm
or
gonna,
miss.
yeah, for me it's not because
Yeah.
the like I love Alton Towers as a park, but last time I went was a disaster because the queues were just too much, and also the stories that I hear
so much
the way they operate
stories.
and
yeah,
treat their
cheapskate
staff and
stuff. I hear a lot of things
and-
about Merlin parks that remind me of the things that I hate about Six Flags parks, even though the Merlin parks are all objectively much nicer. So
next up of nice parks, which is a hit or miss with this chain too, but Hirsch and Family Entertainment, mostly 90%. Known for Silver Dollar City, Dollywood, and then they have Wild Adventures, and now Kentucky Kingdom.
As of yesterday.
They are 90% hot.
I kind of thought they'd be hotter. Everybody loves. Well,
I think people know that like Wild Adventures, the cheetah thing is still fresh.
Yeah.
And Lightning Rod is like always a nightmare.
I guess that is true.
But I think they're hot.
Yeah, I think that goes.
Not much to say. They're just good parks.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Lightning Rod's a steel coaster now, I guess. We're looking at pictures of it today. That won't be news by the time this episode airs, but it's news today.
And then the last section is actually really fun. It's going to be the 2021 coasters. It's going to be pretty lightning roundy.
We're going to do this quick.
First up, Velocicoaster deemed 95% hot. Yes. Very hot. I say it's hot.
Oh, it looks hot as hell.
How can it not be?
So hot.
Too hot.
Conda, Wallaby, Belgium.
91% hot. I say hot.
I'm surprised it's not hotter. Should be like 100%. That thing looks like the hottest of the year.
For Belgium, it's the hottest that's ever been.
Hottest. Speaking of also Belgium, is it hotter than Ride to Happiness by Tomorrowland?
It's actually 81% hot, so not super, super hot. So, I think it's hot. I love the new
I think it looks so cool. But everyone in Belgium is like, they're like, I like the coaster, but not the theme.
Well, obviously, this is the year where we have the two, so like a lot of them will go towards Conda, while Ride to Happiness is a bit on the side. I think it will be a positive surprise.
Totally.
But
if Ride to Happiness had opened any other year,
the partnership
people would be
with Tomorrowland is a blessing and a curse at the same time for me.
A head scratcher.
So we can say it's hot or not, Sven?
Oh, I think he thinks.
I think it will be hot.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Another one that's considered
Abyssus.
Quite hot, 92% hot.
So hot.
Abyssus Energylandia, New Fukuoka launch coaster.
Oh my god!
I think it's hot.
So beautiful.
You know, the on-ride didn't get me too excited.
But it's just testing, though.
I guess my real question is if you or anyone else who's ridden Lech coaster goes and rides Abyssus and if it compares.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be shocked if someone. But
it looks like they're going to put in a lot of effort
better.
into integration for the first ride yet there, where it's like super integrated.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that gives it an edge.
Fingers crossed.
And just keep adding rides in that area. It's
Speaking of edge, going over the edge is SeaWorld San Diego's first dive coaster, or only dive coaster.
Yeah.
Is Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego. It was deemed not
hot.
78.4%. I think it's hot.
I think it's everybody who voted not hot has ridden Valraven at Cedar Point, and they hate B&M vest restraints on dive machines so much.
But this thing isn't about just the drop. Like the drop is one of the many things it does, and it has these inversions. It flies through it. It has really great pacing based on just testing footage. I think it's going to be
even with
really
the vests,
cool.
It will be great.
Yeah,
because it can't be worse than
Valraven.
Be like I hope it'll be like Valkyria.
It might also be Yukon Striker. I love that ride.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah, we haven't ridden
everyone
Yukon
loves
Striker.
it.
Everyone loves Yukon Striker, so I guess we'll see.
But I guess it's also a bit dive fatigue because there are also popping a lot of them
we've
up.
got some fatigue.
Dive fatigue.
We've got some fatigue for you right here. Dragon Slayer at Adventureland in Iowa
is deemed not
hot,
like very
super not hot. Even though
42% not.
Even though it's
42% hot.
Such a cool ride for this park and like such an amazing fit.
I think
I think
it's hot.
Yeah.
The reason I think it's hot is because it's first of all a unique layout. And it doesn't have that mid-course break. So, like, unlike the current ones that kind of end and then just kind of slowly make their way back, this one should be flying all the way down to the final breaks. Like, the finale should be like Zach Spin Wild.
Like are people going to plan a trip to Adventureland now that Dragon Slayer is there? Maybe not more. No. There may not be more or less inclined. Right, but I mean, I've already been there, and like we have to get you the credits, and it's like I wouldn't say that people would be more or less inclined maybe than before.
But locals will be.
But locals, for the park, I'm like, oh, it's a slam dunk. It is such a cool thing for them to be building. So definitely hot for me.
Yeah, hot.
Yeah.
Next
Icebreaker.
up is Icebreaker.
It's not hot. It's
77%
icy.
hot, so it's
Yeah.
it's a not by our standards now.
This is another one we can chalk up to people aren't crazy about the restraints.
It's all about the trains for me. The
Yeah.
trains are the only detractor, but having seen a test in person, it looks really good. It
That's
looks
good
way
pacing.
more than just a kiddie goes. It looks like a little mini blitz.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it's
I
hot.
don't think
actually.
it's the ride that says, "Yeah, I need to go to SeaWorld to ride it."
Not at
but
all.
in the lineup, I think it fits.
Oh,
very
totally.
well.
Like
Yeah.
this park has 3 giant B&Ms, and then they have a water coaster, and then there's nothing in
And then there's
between
finally
except for the kiddie coaster. But
That's
this is like
cleaner.
a good middle
But,
ground
so
thing.
good fit for the park.
So yeah, hot.
Not for the enthusiasts, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be.
Super hot is down the street
Yeah.
in Tampa. Iron Gwazi, 96.4% hot.
Wow, that was unscripted.
Well, let me go first then. I'm excited
Oh
for
my
it.
God.
So
I want to say it's hot because it's like quite a unique layout, and I think Busch Gardens Tampa really can use it.
Oh no,
That's
it's
for
totally hot. I would
for
be.
Florida,
I would be so.
You never know if us if we're
I would
going to
be
say
such
anything
a
hot
jaded
about it. Yeah.
asshole if I was like Iron Gwazi's not hot. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
we
already
wouldn't have
love
any more listeners.
I already love taking pictures of Iron Gwazi. I love the color scheme.
Yeah,
I
color
love
scheme
the
is
presence
litty.
that it has.
City, for
It's
sure.
exactly what that park needed for a park that already has such a stellar lineup. Like it was the perfect choice. So I don't have
I
anything
love-
bad to say about it. Genuinely.
in the Mardi Gras article that you guys posted on Busch Gardens,
Mm-hmm.
I really loved how it actually was almost theming of
Yeah,
the
it's
event.
Mardi Gras
It's like a
colors.
backdrop,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
And Mardi Gras,
backdrop,
and it's
yeah.
Food and Wine Festival colors, which is
Yeah,
going on
because
right
it's
now.
like purple
and it's like the
green.
vines and the
Everything is
grapes and stuff,
purple
but it all
green.
matches.
So, like
it's
in the
weird.
springtime,
Yeah.
all of the festivals match Iron
cool.
Gwazi.
You know what's also really hot? Busch Gardens Williamsburg new coaster, Pantheon. 94% hot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it's hot.
Yeah,
Intamin,
that's-
new Intamin, super hot.
The rolling
Hot, hot,
stock,
hot.
the audacity of the ride layouts, swing launches,
Stalls,
a giant
hats.
ass rear spike. Like, isn't that?
Like 200 something.
Yeah,
feet,
it's. I mean, it's a hypercoaster sized blitz with loops.
Oh,
and,
with like a dive towards the ravine.
and it's a terrain coaster. It might even be hotter than Velocicoaster. I can't wait to
I
find
mean,
out.
it's only like a percent away from Velocicoaster
Yeah.
hotness.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's hotter than Velocicoaster, but I'm excited for the one in Park Ostrix as well. So
Yes.
We have an article on that, everyone.
I'm
Just search
so
it on our website.
excited.
Next up is the American Dryer Looping, which is also known as Chimera, going to
Chimera.
Indiana Beach.
It's
It was deemed
64%
not.
hot. It's not
It
hot
was, like,
because
not
nobody
hot.
wants to die.
I mean, if they get new trains, it's hot. If it's Gerstlauer trains,
Yeah.
If it's not new trains, I'm gonna say not because it's uncomfortable as hell. for me.
Gerstlauer knows what they're doing with the Schwarzkopf trains because, like, the new trains for Alpina Bahn are gorgeous. And then, like, for people who love Hershey Park and Super Duper Looper, like, those are Gerstlauer trains built to Schwarzkopf specifications. So I'm holding my applause until it opens because it's not open till it's open, but we'll see.
but it
What
fits
do you
in the
think?
theme of the park.
Yeah, I think that's why they add the word American in
Yeah.
front of the German word.
Is that the official name for it? Is American Drive?
Right, that's how it's listed on RCDB. I think it's how they announced it.
That's pretty cute, actually.
is cute.
That's actually kind of adorable. I'm shocked.
It screams Old Park, which is nice because Indiana Beach is an
It
old park.
sounds like a park that really has their finger on the pulse of what matters to coaster enthusiasts. Like, they're ready to have a social media, lightning round with these Schwarzkopfs that they're building. So, good to them. I wish them the absolute very best.
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna take.
Is that
okay,
it? Wait.
Sven, are you saying hot or not?
Oh, well,
The
I said
dryer
it
looping?
fits for the park, so I
Yeah.
would be excited to go there now to ride it. For
I
sure.
can't wait to ride it again. It was the most terrifying coaster.
You know what? I can't wait to ride.
So terrifying.
Hurricane,
Forest World, Sucho.
Deemed 90% hot. This is the Mac launcher of 60 meters tall.
Yeah, it's
that's
a
gonna go
hyper-
like real effing
hyper
fast.
launcher.
And it has a super
It's
super fast
5
barrel roll.
inversions.
That's like after the top hat.
And
I
a
don't know how the
200
hell they're gonna
yeah,
pull
a
that
hyper
off,
top hat.
but it looks really good.
It could
super
be,
hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
This is Mac at their best in rare form. Very best.
They should copy
That
it
it's
to
rare
Europa
that they're
Park.
best,
I mean,
but-
Oh my god, yes. Like
The
replace
fact
Blue
that
Fire.
Imagine.
it's such an
I don't think they
aggressive
will,
ride. They've never built anything
You know
that
what's
looks
funny?
this terrifying.
Accelerator has been rumored to be in a chopping block for so long to be replaced with a Mac Blue Fire clone. How about you just build a new Hurricane
Build a
and then you
Hurricane,
can
cool.
really compete? with
Oh my
Bound.
god, that would be ape shit. Yeah.
Next up, also very hot,
So
90% hot, is Monster
Oh my
at
God.
Grüne Lund.
So hotter
whatever we
than
call the park.
words, hot to the touch. Like with
Hot
the
to the
classic harnesses. and no vertical loop, which is really bizarre. I mean, everything
Love
about
that
it
for us.
is. I mean, I don't have anything against vertical loops, but it's just such a bizarre. Everything about it is so strange.
It's an integration station, and I love that.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we had a new B&M in Europe again.
Yeah.
So not only B&M but also an inverted B&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and it
the
looks
latest-
so integrated, so
Banshee?
custom.
Banshee was the
Overlaps?
most recent looping B&M invert, and then
Yeah, there's
there's
the
been
kiddie
junior
ones.
inverts in China, and then Osiris was 2012. That was the last one prior to Banshee. So this is the most recent
Another thing that
B&M
makes
invert
Monster
with those harnesses.
really hot is those new harnesses.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it hasn't
I was
been done
cautiously
since
optimistic
Parc Astérix.
because, like, I like Banshee, but it's not my favorite. And then when I saw the trains, I was like, oh my god, it's harnesses, like real harnesses. Like this is going to be like a real, like a classic, crazy, thematic.
Which one should we end with? We have two left. Do we do the American
we'll end
one
with
or the Asia one?
We'll do the Asia one. Yeah,
First or Asia one last?
first.
Okay. So next up is Universal Beijing Resorts Decepticoaster.
Speaking of vest restraints, now this
Decepticoaster.
will have vest restraints, and I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm curious about it. I like vest restraints on certain coasters,
has saved the planet.
but we didn't do anything.
You can ride with evac anytime.
Anytime.
Or no, you can ride with Decepticoaster.
Oh yeah.
anytime.
I don't know, Sven. What do you
I
think?
think the theming also looks really cool.
Really
of
nice.
The way the launch will be. And
Yeah.
I guess it would be a good idea maybe for Universal in Orlando.
Oh,
in the
I mean,
future?
we already retracked ours
Yeah, we already have
in 2018.
20.
Yeah, but I mean theming wise.
Oh, theming wise,
I mean,
we already
if
have the
they-
Transformers Dark Ride. It's in the Universal's
park,
not going to touch
unfortunately.
ours because
There's superheroes.
we have
and
Marvel,
the whole
which is
licensing
an
thing.
old grandfathered contract with the Marvel intellectual properties.
This is their one leg up against
So,
Disney.
Yeah,
Universal-
but if they get tired of paying to Disney.
No, they don't. They don't pay to
Oh,
Disney.
They don't.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They,
Yeah.
they own it because they bought it first.
They do it as a
Oh,
middle
my
finger
bad.
to Disney. That's why they poured all this money back
That's
into
why they
Hulk.
Then they
redid
won't do
and
it.
Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
is this big, like, haha, look what we have.
Yeah, but the
'Cause
merch-
Disney, yeah, because
So
Disney
yeah,
can't build
speaking
Spider-Man
of
in Florida.
Decepticoaster, the
or
layout is
Hulk.
like an updated version of Hulk with like cooler, smoother elements, lower to the ground.
Yeah.
Should be higher pacing.
It looks like
so
it'll be
I'm really excited
surprisingly-
for
yeah.
it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's hot.
Yeah.
I think it's a good
So
ride
hot,
for them. I
blazing
just
hot.
find it kind of weird
Hot.
because the park gets so cold, but we'll have to just make sure we don't go into winter
We'll
to make
travel
sure it
for
runs.
it. Yep. I bet they'll heat the track like Tron. Like they'll be able to
Ooh,
run
like a
that shit
little-
in
So
the
that's
snow.
Heated
one
track.
for Asia, one for the US. When is the one in Europe coming?
As soon as they build an
Universal Sport
yours
all that
is
I do
Dragon
is
Con,
beg
actually.
Yes, you have Dragon Con.
Yeah. Thanks, Busch Gardens.
Last but not least, number 60 of the things we discussed today. Jersey Devil is deemed hot, 87% hot.
Seems cautious. I'm cautiously hot about it. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the
I don't
current.
like the trains very much.
Yeah, the trains.
But I like the
are
idea of
awkward.
giving it a new chance and maybe it being a little like more drawn out, which it looks like it's gonna be more drawn out. So I will give it the benefit of the doubt and
A
I will
longer
say
train?
it's hot.
better pacing experience than, or I guess a more reasonable
Giant airtime
pacing
hill.
experience.
That's what I'm excited for.
Versus
like a little hyper, like a mini hyperbit inversion.
I'm morbidly curious. That's my temperature right now.
So are you morbidly hot?
Morbidly
Is that a thing?
curious. Morbidly curious. What about you, Sven?
I'm super curious because I just can't imagine how a ride like that feels from watching it. So I just want to experience one.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Damn. Okay.
right.
So overall, it was a pretty hot episode, if
Yeah.
I say so myself.
Yeah.
Hot.
I'm excited that we
A little
discussed
long.
all these, and I want to thank everyone on Instagram so much for participating. This was probably the
Thank you.
most interaction we've ever gotten when it comes to like people voting for stuff for our podcast. So we had almost 1,100 votes average. So that was really wonderful. We really appreciate everyone's contribution. We will be doing more stories for other episodes. As of right now, make sure to check out everything we have for season 1, 2, and all of our new recent stuff for season 3. We've got a rapid fire Q&A episode that was really fun. We have a episode about a ghost resort in South China. Speaking of OCT, that's actually one of their parks. So check that out, and of course visit thecoasterkings.com. Visit our map that Sven created that has all the different theme parks in the world that we went to as a team and articles that relate to it, if we've written any. And we have on there a link to our shop, a link to our Discord. Go join our conversation on Discord. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
All right.
Come again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.